Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Bellaments of Film. The name is a work in progress. However, today I'm going to be talking about my theories and predictions for my most anticipated film of the entire summer, probably the entire year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, I saw the second movie back when it was in theaters, and that was like the first big Marvel movie that I was like, wow, that stuff is really cool. So I've been following the Guardians since then, and I'm really excited to see how this story will conclude. Now, I've seen all the trailers, I've actually listened to the entire new track list that they released for Awesome Mix Volume 3, and I've been just thinking and analyzing and wondering what's going to happen in this new one, as well as thinking about what I might even just want to happen. So today, that's what I'm going to be talking about. And, excuse me, I must say this in the beginning. I have had horrible allergies, so if I sound congested, do not let that impact my space movie theories. So, thank you very much. So, to start off, I want to predict the opening of the movie. So, the track list for the Awesome Mix starts with the acoustic version of Creep by Radiohead. And I think that the movie will open up with Peter Quill, Chris Pratt's character, obviously. Those of you who aren't too in tune with the Guardians of the Galaxy, you will just know that. But anyway, I believe that it'll open up with this, and it'll be him being really sad, talking about how he's the creep. Here's the weirdo. Um, he's the weirdo with all this because he's lonely and he lost his girl and everything like that. I feel like it'll be a pretty funny way for the audience to see where he's at mentally and emotionally. And I feel like it would be pretty good to use such a overplayed but like comedically not like I feel like it's a pretty good song for that. But I believe that this will be the main opening scene, and then after that, it'll kick into action with a fun song. I don't know what that song might be yet, but that's how I believe the movie will go. Speaking of, I have a theory for a use of a fun song. I think that they have one song that's a anime Vocaloid, like nobody listened to it. I think it had 44,000 plays total, which is kind of small for a song. And now it's at like 700 million. I mean, no, maybe like 700,000. Definitely not million, but clearly because of this addition to the Guardian soundtrack. Um, but I think that it's going to be a scene with Cosmo the space dog because it is a Japanese song that, when translated, is just them naming like dog species, at least according to a TikTok comment I heard. But so I believe they're gonna, now that they have Cosmo as the space dog as a mainstay character, I think that they're gonna use her in her own little fun scene. And even if they don't with that song, I really hope that she does get a chance to shine because she's really cute and looks like my new dog too. So I'd like to see that happen. And then on top of that, going into another cool scene that I think will happen. Um, so the main premise that's kind of been like teased and leaked and everything is that Rocket is wanted. Rocket Raccoon wants to be. Well, no, somebody wants Rocket Raccoon. Clearly, the guy who experimented on him, the High Evolutionary, in the comics, in the movie, all that jazz. And I believe that he's going to get taken at some point. And I believe that the way that he gets rescued is Groot comes to his rescue. And I love Groot. And this is all just speculation because of two reasons. Number one, there seems to be a scene where most of the Guardians of the Galaxy, minus a few, are in spacesuits and jumping down onto the planet below them, and the planet is full of like organic life. Like it looks like the planet is made of like skin and like hair follicles, like very creature-based design. And the guy who wants Rocket is very much like about creating new life in organic matter. So that's why I think that that might be his like hideaway. And somebody who's not there is Groot. So I'm thinking, based on that, and plus this singular shot that's in a trailer of Groot being almost beheaded, but he has like little branches like spider legs and he's just moving around with his head. I think he's gonna somehow stow away and break in and try and rescue Rocket himself, which would be really cool because this new Groot is kind of like a son to Rocket, whereas the original Groot that died in the first movie was kind of like his buddy. So I feel like that'd be kind of cool to build upon that relationship in that way. And then more things I think that might happen. Number one, well, not number one, this is kind of like number three now, but I believe that Star Lord will get his comic accurate mask in the movie. Because in the second movie, his mask was destroyed. But that kind of didn't really matter because then he had the same mask pretty much again in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. But I do believe that they have not shown a single glimpse of it in any like merchandise, artwork, trailers, nothing. So I think they're saving it towards the end and it'll be a really good homage to his comic look, especially because the Guardians now have their uniforms from the comics. So I think that's going to be a really cool thing. That's going to be really awesome to see in the theaters. Now, after this, I do have another theory based upon more trailer screenshots. I think that the Guardians will get separated, and the one group will be Drax, Mantis, and Nebula, and then somehow accompanied by Gamora. Now, I think this because several shots have shown them kind of together, those three, and it seems like they're kind of breaking out of like, not so much like a jailbreak, but more like a creature containment area where in the original trailer it showed them fighting off or coming face to face with the beast that they fought in the second movie's intro. And there's just more scenes of them like fighting off people. Like they have like bullet wounds and everything. There's like ash marks all over their bodies, and just those three. And then there's also some parallel scenes with Gamora fighting off some aliens and everything. So I feel like that kind of gives me the same vibe as that. And at the end too, there's one scene where those specific four are looking off and like up into the sky, like really sadly, all battle damaged, everything, and they look like something's going on elsewhere, and that's what's really upsetting them. So I feel like that scene is going to have some kind of impact, clearly with some of the other Guardians. So like the Peter, Rocket, Groot, that group. So I don't know what that might be, but I do have the theory that they will be fighting off some creatures and they will be separated, and Gamora will join them in that sense. Probably towards like the climax, like probably right before the climax of the movie. And now, to talk about the big thing here. Well, I'll give you a breather. I think that the original Ravagers from the second movie's post-credit scene are going to get some spotlight here and maybe even take over the Guardians role. However, I don't see them doing much in the movie, but that's a little disappointing because I did like the cast that they had for them. But regardless, I'll get into the end of things now. I do believe that some of them will die. Now, it is highly theorized that Rocket Raccoon will die in this movie. And that's because they have been heavily promoting how sad it is and how this is his story and everything. And because of that, though, I feel like almost it's a red herring saying that he's not going to die because they want us to think he's going to die so bad. But then at the same time, I see them using the red herring as a red herring and actually killing him. So I'm really going 50-50. But part of me is wondering if that's the better end to his story. So I'm kind of going to go 60-40 and decide that he might die. But then in the case that he doesn't, I do have other theories. Number one, easy, I think that Kraglin is biting the dust because he does really not a lot. And, you know, maybe he's like probably the easy kill in the beginning of the movie. And spoilers a little bit, in unconfirmed spoilers based on trailers, I don't see him in it a lot. So I feel like he might be the initial kill that shows the Guardians how big of a threat this all is. And afterwards, I do see them going a different route with this too, where James Gunn, the director of the movies, is now moving over to the DC universe, and I feel like he's going to bring his brother with him, so this is an easy way to confirm that his brother won't get called back to Marvel. You know, so just simple as that, I feel like that would happen. Plus, he'd probably want to give his brother a cool death just based on how they work. Now, after that, I have two more runner-up deaths. that are Nebula and Mantis, and I don't see them really going this route. But my only thoughts were Mantis. She's now been confirmed to be Peter's sister. I feel like that's a lot of emotional stake, and Marvel tends to separate the siblings in all their movies, so maybe that'll happen. And she could be the character going under the knife and the operating table with Peter freaking out and crying, sobbing. And then aside from that, though, Nebula, I feel like could be a fitting end for her to die, to sacrifice herself, considering her entire storyline so far has been about wanting to destroy the Guardians, destroy her sister, kill, hate, resent, and a way for her to now die in something that she believes in and cares about would be a really fitting end for her. But at the same time, I feel like she's going to get a lot more attention in this movie, especially after her major role in Endgame. And I feel like she could possibly even take on a leadership role, but not decided. But my number one thought for a death has to be Drax, which kind of annoys me to say this because I feel like so many people have thought that he's dying already, but that's just because the actor has openly said that he's not returning to the role. But almost every single one of them is, and this has been confirmed to be the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy as we know them. So I feel like that's a stupid idea that people are saying it based off that. What I'm basing this off of, actually, it's just that I feel like it's a fitting end to his character, where from the first movie he spoke about how his wife and daughter were killed and how he missed them, and I feel like by dying in this one he could finally join them, and that could be a really good emotional payoff. Now, I believe that's everything I have for this episode, so I do want to know how you guys feel about this. Do you look forward to the movie? Are you looking forward to seeing what will happen, who will die, how things turn out? Because currently I have no idea how Peter and Gamora are going to end their story. That love story that was changed a good 6 times just through the course of their adventures. So please let me know maybe what you think about that, what you think about all my theories, and if you agree on any of them. So I'm hoping to look forward to the movie, seeing how everything turns out. And until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See ya.